more good day.
Yes, sir.
The more you're not calibrating them.
Pizza?
I was asking if you're not going to calibrating them. Where's my
I
speakers?
did that now, sir.
Wait, hold on. My speakers are low for some reason. One sec. Come again?
I'm going to do that. I'm going to call him now, sir.
All right, cool. You know? First. When if Romain come in?
Not sure as yet, sir.
We'll start at 10 past 6. Hi. You do not want ice cream because you're upset? Okay, so stop. Just stop it. What was that before?
Alright, so here.
Because originally it was chocolate ice cream. And guess what? It was non-dairy, meaning it had a coconut milk base.
Okay,
That's
hold on.
so you.
I only like one type of ice cream. No,
Coconut.
no.
Grass.
One type of ice cream, not flavor.
Everyone else?
I only like the vanilla ice cream.
I don't.
Yeah. Frozen yogurt gets a pass. But that's just because I think it's healthier, but it's not actually healthier. And I found out that it was not actually healthier. I'm like, no, it's not that this name.
Sugar.
Yeah. So like frozen yogurt gets a pass, but they only like one type of ice cream. So like when we're in the store and you say ice cream, I'm like, no, I don't like the two ice creams. The
Okay, the content.
pumpkin ice cream. Yeah.
Yeah, you've had them?
Yeah.
You've had Haagen-Dazs ice cream before?
Yeah.
You've had Ben and Jerry's ice cream before?
Yeah.
Ben and Jerry's ice cream is incomparable enough.
So
The baddest ice cream I ever ate in my life.
I had them here. Once we had like a red velvet
I think that was Haagen-Dazs.
flavor and another one and all these things, right? But that is my
Okay.
so it's not that I won't ever eat them, but
Okay.
if I will eat foolishness, I don't eat the foolishness in the brand. Like if I'm getting chocolate, I won't just get a random bar of chocolate. Like get the chocolate and be like,
I see you.
because I'm gonna have to face the consequence.
Indeed. Okay, shall we begin? Terry Demo, are we here?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mhm.
Yes, sir.
And you can see my screen, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
One sec. All right. So, good evening to both of you. And to Romain if he watches the video. So Tuesday, doing a bit of recap. Tuesday, we started Unit 2 with the product life cycle. We defined what PLC is and walked through the 4 different phases of the PLC. Do you remember what the 4 phases of PLC are? Can anybody remind me? Remember that graph I showed you? The different parts of the product life cycle? If I tell you that one,
The growth, mature, and answer.
come again.
Introduction,
Yeah,
Introduction. I heard
maturity.
that.
maturity and decline.
Very
Yeah.
good. Real good. Excellent. So you guys remembering? Either that or you have it in front of you reading now. All right.
No, sir.
Either way. I know. I believe you. I believe you. All right. Yeah. So, and we also looked at planned obsolescence, right? And we also talked about why it matters for integration. Okay. So today or tonight, I'm wondering if this is actually right. We're actually going to be finishing up Unit 2, maybe. Unit 2 is very short. But yeah, tonight we're going to be finishing up the core content for Unit 2. We're going to be covering 2 more life cycle concepts in this part of the unit. And these two concepts, they sit alongside PLC. And then after that, we're going to be looking at the role of the person who manages all of this. That person being the product manager. All right. By the end of the session, you should be able to tell me the difference between a system lifecycle and a technology lifecycle. And you should understand how a product manager's decision at each phase of the PLC directly affects systems integrators. All right. Okay. Oh, should have been on this slide. Wait, it's fine. You don't need this. Not information. Okay. So let's begin. So the system lifecycle. The system lifecycle is the full journey of one specific system. From the moment you start designing it to the moment you decommission it and shut it down. And the system lifecycle has 5 stages, and we're going to go through each of them. So we start with design, as you can see on the slide. In design, you figure out what the system needs to do and how it should be built. The development stage is you actually build it. So you write the code, you configure the hardware, right? Deployment stage now is you put your product into production. Remember, we talked about what I mean by the production environment. So you put in production and then real users start to use it. After production, we'll have maintenance where you fix the bugs, you release updates, and you keep it running smoothly. And then finally, you have disposal. The system is retired, data is migrated, and the product is taken offline. All right. So key thing here is that this is about one specific system, not a type of technology, one actual named specific system. So let's take into, let's think about a few examples. It would be like, for example, it would be the accounting software for a company, or maybe it would be the hospital's patient registration system, or maybe even the government's land management database. Each one of those products that I just named a while ago have its own system lifecycle. I'll give you a concrete example. So imagine you had a hospital that built a custom patient registration system in 2010. They designed it in 2009, and deployed it in 2010. They maintained it for 12 years. They patched it, they updated it, kept it alive. And then by 2022, the system was outdated. It was too expensive to maintain, and you couldn't integrate it with other cloud-based tools. So they decommissioned it and then replaced it with a new system. That scenario that I described is one complete life cycle, from design all the way to disposal. And for integration, this matters because you need to know where a system is in its life cycle before you can integrate with it, as we talked about last week, or sorry, not last week, Tuesday. If a system is already in the maintenance phase and approaching disposal, building a deep integration with it is going to be risky. And the integration, after you finish setting it up, you're going to tear it up and move on to the next thing within a year, right? Want to understand what I mean by design all the way to disposal? Do we get the different stages of the system life cycle? Any part of it you want me to do again? Or understand it?
No, sir. No, sir. I think we understand this.
All right, cool. And the example I gave a while ago about not the example, but I was talking about production, where specifically the deploy phase. I remember I was talking about production last week, or not last, I keep saying last week. On Tuesday, when I was talking about how the production environment is where it is actually customer facing, where real users who are going to be using the system is using the system. Yeah.
Yes, sir. You're talking about the test.
Right. I was talking about test environments different from production environments.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that came up again. All right. Okay. Real quick now, we're going to talk about what the technology life cycle is. So this one is different from the I'll call it the system life cycle. Instead of tracking one specific system, this tracks the entire category of a technology, from when it's first invented to when it's replaced with something better. And you can think of the things that we were talking about last week, like how you have VHS starting off, and then it was replaced by DVDs. I guess we didn't really talk exactly about replacement of a VHS. We're just talking about what we're we talking about. Were we talking about replacing DVDs, or we're talking about VHS again? You guys remember the competition
Yes,
between
sir.
the two things? Yeah, I think it was. And then I think there was mention of DVD eventually. But in this particular case, we're going to be talking about how we have one technology that's being replaced by an entirely new system. Example being, well, VHS first, and then DVD came and bumped that out. And then DVD was eventually replaced by streaming, like your Netflix and your HBO Max, right? All right, so let's talk about the stages of the technology life cycle. We'll have innovation, where somebody invents or discovers a new technology. Next, we'll have early adoption. A small number of pioneers start using it. Pioneers are going to be like your early adopters, the people that, set the trend. And then we'll have the mainstream use. That's after early adoption. Mainstream use is when it becomes a standard, widely adopted across industries. And then you have replacement, where a newer, better technology emerges and gradually takes over. So think about it like this, where we have physical servers. Physical servers at one point, they were the only way to run your application, right? You had to buy the hardware, you had to rack it in a data center, and then you have to manage it yourself. I want to talk about the hardware. I'm talking about computers, like server computers. So you have to buy the server computers and you have to manage it yourself, install all the software, and then deploy your application to the server. But then virtualization came along, where you could run multiple virtual machines on a physical server. And then after virtualization came in, we had cloud computing. At this point, you didn't need any hardware at all. Each of those different technologies and each one of those each one of those things I talked about is a different technology. So we started talking about physical servers, then virtualization, and then cloud computing. So yeah, each one of those is an individual technology by itself, and each one went through its own technology life cycle. So another example, one that's probably closer to home, one you can relate to. Think about how we store music. You guys know about vinyl records? You know about record players, right? I'm sure you do. You've at least seen it on TV or something. Vinyl records were the standard for decades. And then after vinyl records, we had cassette tapes. After cassette tapes, we had CDs. And then we had digital downloads. And then after digital downloads, we had streaming, right? Like your Spotify and your Deezer and your Apple Music and all of those. Each format is a technology that went through innovation, adoption, mainstream use, and then eventual replacement. For integration, the technology cycle tells you whether the underlying technology you're building on is on its way up or on its way out. If you're building integration using a technology that's being replaced, you're going to have to rebuild your integrations sooner than you think you're going to have to. Right? Similar to what we talked about on Tuesday, where depending on where in the life cycle a system is, when you're doing your own integration into their system, if you find that you start to perform your integration or start to establish your integration on the decline or near to the end of maturity, then you're going to find that after a while, when that system gets shut down, you're going to have to either rebuild your integration into a new, different product, new project, or sorry, new product or a different product, or well, I guess that is the only option. Yeah. Make sense? We're clear? Give me a yes. Are we good? Mhm. Okay. So next we're going to be talking about system life cycles versus the technology life cycle. We're going to put these two things side by side so the distinction becomes clear. All right. The system life cycle is about one specific system. So when I say system, you can think about it as the application itself or the product itself, not a category of products or a generalization. So a system would be like your hospital's patient registration system. You track its design, the development, the deployment, maintenance, and disposal. And the question it answers is, where is this particular system in its journey, right? So you need to be able to identify what point this product or the system is in its journey from design to disposal. The technology lifecycle, however, is about a whole class of technology, a broad generalization of technology. On-premise servers, that's, a whole general thing. It's not just one particular system. Cloud computing, that's a whole general thing as well. SOAP-based web services. Remember we talked about SOAP versus REST. So it tracks innovation, it tracks adoption, mainstream use, and replacement. And the question that this answers is, where is the type of technology heading, right? So I can tell you here why it matters. You can have a brand new system freshly deployed right at the start of its system lifecycle, but built on a technology that's already in its replacement phase. That would be a problem. Your system would be new, but the technology that it's built on is dying. Does that make sense? What I said a while ago? You can have a brand new technology that's not technology, a brand new system that was just developed, just designed and deployed and developed and everything. But the technology that it's based on is dying. Tell me who understand that.
Sure. Um, it's like you're saying, like if somebody has like Windows 7 still using or
Mm-hmm.
something, and like
Mm-hmm.
they create like a application that will be useful nowadays, but because
Mm-hmm.
it's made on the Windows 7 system,
Mm-hmm.
it's outdated.
Mm-hmm. Exactly
It's
right.
made
Yeah.
specifically for it.
Right. So the system itself that you're building, the application or product that you're creating is useful and it's brand new and it's sparkly and it's shiny and it does all the things. But if it was possible for it to be only locked to Windows 7, then while Windows 7 is on its way out, the system would not be very useful anymore because it would be locked to Windows 7. So yes, that's correct. Another example I just thought of a while ago would be like, for example, I feel like there were cars that were built with like a CD player that can take more than one CD at the same time and it can just rotate the CDs. It's like, I don't remember what it's called. But yeah, imagine having that in 2026. That would be a brand new product. But who listens to CDs? I mean, maybe you still have some cars that have CD players in them, but they're not very common, right? So it would be a brand new product, but nobody's going to use it because CDs are dead. Make sense? Tariq, make
Yes, sir.
sense?
Yes, sir.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. So let me see, where am I now? Okay, so I'll give you a real example, another real example. Imagine a company built a brand new SOAP-based integration in 2020. The system is new, but the technology, the SOAP technology, is being replaced by REST APIs across the industry. So the system itself might work perfectly today, but finding developers who know about SOAP is getting harder. Vendor support is declining, and eventually the company will have to rebuild using REST. Yeah. So as an investor, sorry, my mistake, as an integrator, you need to check both. You need to check both the system lifecycle as well as the technology lifecycle. So in your checks, you need to ask yourself, is the specific system healthy? And is the underlying technology still moving forward? If either one is on the decline, then you need a new plan. All right. So I had a question a while ago, but I think basically I answered it already. Um, the question was, can you think of a technology that was mainstream 5 years ago? Actually, it's still a good question. Mainstream 5 years ago. So think about 2021 or even 2020 that is being replaced right now. And what's replacing it? Any particular technologies that you can think of that were popular or doing pretty well 5 years ago, but not really so much right now? And that's a question to both of you.
Um,
Can't think of anything?
so would would one version of this of the same one? All right, move forward the question here properly.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Windows 10 to Windows 11.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So in a case like um, this would fall more under, I guess, the product life cycle. So maybe not so much the system or the technology life cycle, because the operating system that you're talking about, Windows, it's a bit more general. It's kind of in between. It's too general to be considered a system, but not general enough to be considered a technology. So it's kind of in between. Um, so I guess that would be more relevant if it was a case where like operating systems got phased out, which is pretty unlikely. Think about more like, okay, here's one that I can personally relate to. Public transportation, right? I used to take taxi and bus, and then I eventually got a taste of what on time felt like. It was really convenient, and I kind of stopped taking taxi and bus after that and just took on time alone. And then
Which
Uber came out in Jamaica, and I cannot tell you the last time I used an on-time taxi. I've been using Uber almost primarily since then. So they're all the same technology, technically. They're all transportation or like public transportation, I guess. But their systems are different. So one system would be, regular public transportation, the buses and the taxis. And then you had the on-time taxis, which are the on-demand or chartered taxis or chartered transportation. And then you had ride sharing. Yeah. Tell me that makes sense. I don't know if you'll be able to relate to that. If you can't relate to that, what about the use of thumb drives? You guys had thumb drives? Have you ever had use for a thumb drive or a
yes, sir.
USB flash drive? Yeah. When last you
Yes,
used a
sir.
flash drive?
Um, did it? I guess.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yes,
okay.
sir.
Okay, I don't know when last I used a
I
flash
would have
drive.
said those outdated.
Come again?
I would have said I would have said those that are mainstream.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, sure. I personally would think that they're on the decline though, if I was honest,
Why?
because
Because of cloud storage, sir.
exactly because of cloud storage. If at some point you have a file or some files that you want to copy over from one computer to another computer, are you going to plug your thumb drive into a computer that you're not familiar with? Well, I guess it's kind of technically a different reason because that was always a thing. That was always a risk. Plugging in a thumb drive into a unfamiliar computer was always a risk. So that's not really the reason. But the comparison I'm trying to make is that where at some point I wanted to transfer a file from one machine to another, I would potentially draw for a jump drive. But now I'm either going to send you a Google Drive link or I'm probably going to send it to you over WhatsApp or like, some other messaging service that you have on your computer, which could kind of, in a sense, double as cloud storage. But it's a good thing that you mentioned cloud storage a while ago. And the fact that you did makes me think that you sort of kind of agree with me. Yeah?
No.
No? Okay. All right. Fine. Fair. Because you seem to still have use for your USB thumb drive. But you understand the comparison I'm drawing for, right?
Yeah, I understand that. I understand
Mm-hmm.
why you'd say that because most
Mm-hmm.
people nowadays, especially with how the phone companies stay too,
Mm-hmm.
you'd more likely switch over to like cloud storage, especially
Mm-hmm.
since like a lot of phones don't have the micro SD slot
Right.
anymore. And so
Right.
they're trying to get people to use the cloud storage more and buy that to
Right.
store things and everything. So I understand that.
Exactly.
I understand comparing,
Okay.
but I still
When you
prefer
said
to
phone company
use.
a while ago, you meant the manufacturers of the phones?
Um, I'm not sure if they do it, but I think all right, like Samsung and iPhone, like them.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Right. But you made it clear that you don't particularly agree because you still have use for your thumb drive, which is perfectly fair. That's perfectly understandable.
Yeah,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
because sir, the ones that I
Mhm,
have can
mhm.
connect from the phone to
Oh, yeah, the
the
USB-C one them.
computer. Yes,
I
sir.
see. Got you. All
So
right.
I have
That's
use
very
for that.
useful. Yeah, man, I understand. Okay. Tariq, how about you? You've been quiet. You understand the comparisons that we're making?
Yes, sir.
And if you can feel free to agree or disagree with anybody. Oh,
I agree
all
with that
right.
one, sir.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I guess fine. Fair enough. What would that make me then? Am I the early adopter? The early adopter into cloud storage, maybe? I don't know. But yeah, that's fair. As long as you have use for your stuff, then that's fine. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about what product management is. And the product manager is going to be the person that sits in the middle of all of this discussion that we're having. The product manager is the one that's going to have the job to think about all this stuff. So product management is the process of overseeing a product's development, its marketing, and the lifecycle strategy to maximize its success. The product manager is the person responsible for making sure that the product succeeds at every phase of the PLC. You can think of the product manager as the person that's asking the hard questions. Should we launch this feature? Should we invest more or cut costs? Should we plan the next version or keep extending this one? Uh, when do we retire the old version? Yeah. So all those PLC related questions are important for, yes, for the when in the integrator, but those are the questions that the product manager is going to be asking so that they can know how to lead to success, lead their product to success. All right. The product manager in this case, they don't write any code and they don't manage any servers. They make the strategic decisions and that affects everybody else, including the integration team. Okay. Um, so we're going to walk through the product manager, or we're going to walk through what the product manager is actually doing at each phase of the PLC and why it matters for integrators. First, the introduction. So the product manager is making the go, no-go decisions, right? Do we launch? Um, they're setting pricing strategies, identifying early adopters, figuring out minimum viable feature sets. You guys know about minimum value products, MVPs? Like, have you ever heard about an MVP? Not most valuable person, but minimum viable product. You guys familiar with that term? Very important term you need to know about. You can think about the minimum viable product as being the version of the product that has as much features as it needs to have in order to be released to the public to provide value. So it's like a case where you want to have a new product that you want to make available. and you have all the bells and whistles planned out to integrate into this product. But let's say, for instance, fully developing it to have all of the features that you planned it to have would take too long, and you might take too long to develop it, and it might lose value over time. If you think about producing the minimum viable product, you basically get it to a stage where it's able to provide some value, and you release it to the public while you continue adding more features to it to incrementally roll out to the public afterwards. The more you have a
Sir,
question? Yeah.
yeah, sir. So it's like back to phones again. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like first, Samsung has it flagship line, and then it has it mid-range, yeah, a
Mm-hmm.
mid-range line. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
wondering if it's like that, where like the
Mm-hmm.
mid-rangers, as much as them still good, they only have
Mm-hmm.
certain things. They don't have like the best things that they will put in the flagships. So they will send out the mid-rangers, and then like I think they do some testing with the mid-rangers to see like how the public
Mm-hmm.
react to that, and then like adjust it also with the flagship one. So
I get what you're saying. And let me tell
would it
you,
technically be like it?
hmm?
Would it
No,
be
not
like it,
exactly.
sir?
But I get what you're saying,
Oh,
no. But no, not exactly. Let me tell you, it would make more sense if it was a case where the mid-range phones could be upgraded later to have the features of the flagships, right? Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. So yeah, I get what you're saying. But it would be more like a thing where because the mid-range phone is something that is static and cannot be changed after it's released, I wouldn't really consider it as a minimum viable product because if you're going to release the phone, the mid-range phone, yes, you're going to be doing your research and you're going to be seeing how the users react to it, and you'll make changes to release a better phone. But the person that bought the mid-range phone not going to benefit from that unless them go and buy the new phone after. So I would not consider it a minimum viable product. A better example, an example that I got just now, would be like, for example, the Scotiabank app, right? Or an NTB app. So let's say, for instance, the app never exists yet. And Scotiabank wanted to put out an app that allow you to do all your banking stuff. In order for them to build out an app that has all of the banking features that you want to provide to your users, in order for them to do that, it would take, say, it take 5 years for them to build it out. But in 5 years, that's basically 5 years worth of revenue that they'd be losing, or 5 years worth of customer what's the word I'm looking for? Customer interaction that they'd be losing. But let's say, for instance, it takes them 6 months to build an app that just allow them to transfer from account to account. They could build that out in 6 months and release that, and then say, oh, if you wait 2 more months, we'll allow you to check your credit card information as well. And if you wait 6 more months after that, we'll allow you to transfer money to other banks. And if you wait a year, then they'll allow you to apply for loans in the bank as well. So at first, what they did is they released a limited version of the app or a minimum viable product. And then later, as time passed, they update it so that you still have this app and the app gets added value over time, right? You get what I'm saying? You understand why I made the distinction now? Tomoe?
think so. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So yeah, that's what I meant by a minimum viable product. And with that, what I was saying was, right. So for integrators, actually, let me start back from this point. So I was talking about introduction. Um, so yeah, the product manager is making the go no go decisions. They're asking the question of whether we should launch. Or they're the ones that are setting the pricing strategies. They're identifying early adopters through market research, and they're figuring out what the early adopters would consider a minimum viable feature set or minimum viable product. For integrators, this is the phase where APIs are most likely to change without any warning at all. And the product manager is iterating fast. Um, and your integration might break because they change something. So in this phase, I think it's something I talked about on Tuesday as well. It's not a very good idea for you to integrate when your system or the system that you're trying to integrate into is just newly introduced, right? Because the things that the user base will want may change over time because it's brand new. The vendors are figuring out what the user base is counting as valuable and what they don't want. So it's in their best interest to pivot and change and make updates as quickly as possible. And the reason they need to do it as quickly as possible is because they don't want to lose the early adopters. They want to show them that this product is useful and they want to get as much interaction with it as possible. So they need to act fast, they need to work fast. So they're going to be making changes to the app, they're going to be altering things, they're going to be changing how things work. So if you try to integrate into this system when it just busts, you may find that you're going to have to build your integration and then rebuild the integration without a whole lot of warning. That clear? That makes sense? That is the how it affects the product management in the introduction phase. So in the growth phase now, the product manager is going to be focusing on scaling. Some of the questions that you might ask as a product manager: which features do we prioritize? How do we handle the flood of new users? How do we position ourselves against the competitors that are now entering the market? Yeah. So for integrators, this is good news. The product manager wants the third parties to integrate with their products because it makes their products stickier. Yeah. You integrate with the product and you're more likely to stick to it. Yeah. That's what I mean by stickier. And at this point, documentation is going to improve because with more adopters, you're going to have more people that are going to want to connect to the system. So you're going to have to make that process as seamless as possible. So you're going to want to improve the documentation. The API is stabilized. They build them to become more robust because they have to account for more edge cases. And integration support usually gets a whole lot better for the same reason. The vendor wants their product to be as stable as possible since more people are going to be integrating with their product. So they have to make it as robust and stable as possible to accommodate those new integrations. Yeah? Okay, so now the next stage, maturity. The project manager is going to shift to differentiation and cost efficiency. So a question that you may ask is, how do we stand out when the competitors start offering the same thing as us? Or how do we reduce cost without losing quality? They might start planning for the next version even. For integrators, the project manager might announce that the upgrade path for our version, the project manager might announce either an upgrade path or a version change. And in this particular case, you as the integrator, this is when you're going to need to pay attention to the deprecation notices or start listening out for deprecation or decline signals, right? And since we mentioned decline, how integrators are going to be affected by the project manager's actions during the decline stage, the project manager is going to be making very tough decisions at this point. So the questions that they're going to ask are, do we sunset this product? And sunset, like by the sunset, I mean retire it. Or do we try to reinvent it? Yeah, maybe we can save it. Maybe we can add some stuff to re-innovate it. But regardless of what they change, another question that they might want to ask is, what is the timeline for whether we're going to sunset it or if we're going to reinvent it? And also, how do we communicate this to the customers? For integrators, the product manager's sunset decision is going to be very critical. If they announce an end of life, then you need to know the timeline and start planning your migration immediately. A good product manager will give you maybe a year to 18 months notice, but a bad product manager will probably give you 3 months. So question for you, given that information, if you were a product manager at the maturity phase and sales were slowing, what would you do? would you try to extend the current product or start building a replacement? That's a question for both of you, given that information. So you're a product manager, and the system that you're the product manager are, or the product that your product manager are, you're in the maturity phase, and sales are slowing. What do you do in this case? Do you try to extend the current product, or do you start building a replacement?
Sir, I try to extend the product because to build a whole new product from scratch would be more time consuming than an extension. And with the extension, you can reinvent the app, the system, or
Wait, come again? I
wherever.
didn't hear the last part.
So with the extension, you can reinvent the system
The
instead of
extent.
starting from scratch.
Okay. Don't worry about you.
Uh, the same thing, I guess.
All right. Okay,
Fairly
so
sure.
there's no right answer in a case like this. It's definitely going to be case by case. It very much depends on the system and how valuable it is for the customers. So making the decision to extend it versus shutting it down is going to be something that you have to do your research on depending on the product and how the users are using your product as well. But ultimately, it's going to be the project manager's decision, and that's going to directly impact the integration team. Yeah? All right. Okay. Take that question and lead into another question. I'm going to ask a few questions or let's do an activity. Okay, we're going to put those three concepts together in this exercise. I'm going to give you a scenario with three systems. And for each one, I'm going to want you to identify three things. The PLC phase, or that is the product lifecycle phase. I also want you to tell me the system lifecycle phase and the technology lifecycle stage or phase. And then tell me what you think a product manager should be doing in this particular scenario. All right. Okay, so let's start looking at the first one. Wait 1 second. Okay, right. So the first one, system A. We have a legacy payroll system built 15 years ago on COBOL. Do you guys know what COBOL is? This would only make sense if you know what COBOL is.
No, sir. I don't know. Don't know
Okay,
if Tyreek know it though.
it's a very old programming language. I don't know when it was created or when it was popular, but it is no longer popular.
Yes, sir, I'm
But
not
that's
cool.
you know about COBOL. Okay. So yeah, we have a legacy payroll system built 15 years ago on COBOL, which is a very, very old programming language. And I don't think it gets very much use now. But yeah, it still runs, but it hasn't been updated in 3 years. The company has been looking for a replacement. So can you tell me, based on the information that I've given you, we want to identify the product lifecycle, the system lifecycle, and the technology lifecycle. Let me hear from both of you.
Sir, it's in the what was the word there again?
You said
The
last decline.
yes, decline
So
is
that's for
on the
PLC. That's PLC, right?
yes, sir.
Go on.
It's on the decline. In the system
Mm-hmm.
life cycle, it would be
Let me
in
go back to
the
this one.
yes, sir. It would
Dispose.
be dispose, yeah.
Mm,
Wait. Go back to the question, sir.
all right, sure. This? Yeah.
Yeah. Dispose.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And in
And
the
then the
technology
technology life
life
cycle.
cycle, you can scroll back up to the
Sure.
technology life cycle.
This.
No, don't.
Oh, sorry, my mistake. Technology life cycle.
Replacement.
Replacement. I see. All right. Terry, let me hear from you.
I agree with that one, sir.
Let me see if I can get the three of them on the screen at the same time. Let me do a quick. Okay, so for PLC, name them for me again, please. For PLC, we have intro.
Introduction,
Yeah.
growth,
Mm-hmm.
maintenance.
No, wait, no.
No, not maintenance.
Maturity.
Maturity.
Mm-hmm. And
And
then
then decline.
okay, I spell. Good. And then for
System.
system life cycle, so we have, is it the one that is? Right, so we have design into development, into deployment, into maintenance, into disposal. And then the last one, which is the technology life cycle, TL, we have innovation to early adoption, mainstream, and then replacement. Okay, good. So we have all them on screen now. And I wanted to keep this here. Okay, so you told me that you believe that in terms of PLC, you said that it was in the decline, right? And
Yes,
then
sir.
you said for system life cycle, I think you said it was dispose. Did you say decline, dispose, replacement? I feel like that's what you said.
Yes, sir.
So it's a case where for this particular system, the company is looking for a replacement. So yes, it is on the decline for sure. So the product has been superseded. In terms of the system life cycle, so my note says that it's in late maintenance, approaching disposal. Why does it say that? So it
Maybe
says,
because it's still running.
oh yeah, that's true. It's still running. Yeah, that's true. But the fact that it has not gotten any updates in a long time means it may start to become a security risk.
Yeah, so it's best to
Yeah,
dispose of it, and that's why the company is seeking the replacement.
right. Yeah, man. So I agree with that. So it says late maintenance, approaching disposal, and technology life cycle. The technology life cycle is in the replacement phase at the moment because COBOL is deep. COBOL specifically, that's the technology that this is based on. COBOL is deep in the replacement phase. COBOL is not a programming language that is very heavily used anymore. I imagine it probably is used, but if it is being used, it's probably being used to maintain these very old legacy systems. Yeah. So in a case like this, product manager should start planning the sunset timeline and migration path for this particular system. Do we agree?
No, sir.
All right. Let's look at the next one now. So we have a brand new cloud-based inventory management system, and it was launched 6 months ago. Sales are growing fast, and the company is signing up new clients every week. What does it sound like? Let's think about PLC. So it's a brand new cloud-based inventory management system. So it's brand new. That's wholesale something. Launched 6 months ago. Sales are growing fast, and the company is signing up new clients every week. So in terms of PLC, I have my answer, but let me hear your answer.
So it would be in the, I think it would be in the late introduction, early growth, or probably in the middle of middle growth. In terms of the system life cycle, it would be in the
So for system lifecycle, consider the fact that it is, yes, it's a brand new system, but it's already out and sales for it is already growing.
So it would be in the maintenance
Mm,
or early deployment and in maintenance.
okay, I prefer that answer to the first one you gave.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
And then
Yes, sir.
technology.
Uh, Early adoption.
Mm, yeah, I think so too. Tariq, what about you?
I agree with that one, sir.
Mm-hmm. All right. So let's take a look at why we say these things. So brand new system, launched 6 months ago. So brand new would make you think it's intro, but the fact that sales, like the company's already getting sales and they're getting sales fast. If we take a look at I don't have the graph, but if you recall the graph from last class, where sales usually pick up or revenue starts to pick up in the early stages of growth, the fact that this scenario says that sales are growing fast would tell you that it is more than likely in the growth phase of the PLC at the moment. Yeah. And for the system life cycle, it's already out. So it's been deployed and users have access to it. So I would suggest that I would assume that this is in the deployment stage or just out of deployment, right? So it's customer facing and it's approaching the maintenance phase. It may not be a case where it is solidly into the maintenance phase yet because it's still relatively new, but people are buying into it. So it was just recently deployed. So yeah, I think you had said early deploy and starting to transition into maintain. So yeah, I agree with
Yes,
that.
sir.
And then now, oh, so in terms of technology life cycle,
Early adoption.
early adoption. I don't think I agree with that one. Let me check my notes because I would have said mainstream. Let me see. Yeah,
6.
I say mainstream specifically because remember, we're not talking about the product itself when we're talking about technology lifecycle. We're talking about the technology that the system itself is made out of or uses to actually achieve its goal. So the technology in this case is cloud storage or cloud technology. Right? And cloud technology, you said early adoption. Cloud technology is not early. Cloud technology has been about for a while and it is very mainstream. So that's why I would say in this case it is mainstream. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, I understand what you're
Yeah.
saying.
So for the system lifecycle, you think about the product itself, and technology lifecycle, you think about what the product make out of, right? So yeah, I would have said mainstream for technology lifecycle. And the product manager in this case they should be thinking about scaling, stabilizing APIs, and attracting third-party integrators at this point. Yeah. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right, then we can move on to the third one now. Okay, system three is a mature ERP. What does ERP stand for again? Enterprise something another, something another.
Enterprise resource planning system.
You know, so you're better than me. That's very good. Okay, cool. So yeah, so a mature ERP system that's been market leading for 8 years. A major competitor just launched an AI powered alternative that's getting a lot of buzz. So where do we think? So a mature ERP system, the fact that it's a mature, that will tell you something already. And it's been market leading for 8 years. Yeah, man. So
Yeah,
they've been in the game. Yeah, man. So mature immediately. Hold on,
yeah.
let me hear from Tariq. So Tariq, you continue. Look at, so we know that in terms of PLC life cycle, the PLC phase, it's immaturity. The system life cycle now. So it says a major
Maintenance, sir.
competitor. Come again?
Would be maintenance
Um, all
since
right,
they're
go
just
on.
maintaining it with the updates.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And
Because they're
technology
mature at
life
this point,
cycle
yeah.
will be
Mm-hmm.
mainstream.
Yeah, I want to say so. I agree with that. Let me see. So it says PLC would be late maturity.
Mhm.
I guess depending on whether you consider 8 years to be a long time or not. So yeah, late maturity. Maybe entering early decline, but we don't know yet. System life cycle. At this point, yeah, deep into maintenance because they've been about for a while. So they're not new again. So they're very much into the maintenance. And then now technology lifecycle. Traditional ERP. Wait, what did you say for this one? For technology lifecycle?
Mainstream.
The third one that being mainstream?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. So the ERP itself is mainstream, but the competitor that they're going to have to be contending with is AI related, and that is going to be in its
Replacement.
well, no.
It's
So
not definitely in the replacement, but it is slowly
hold
going
on, hold on, hold
into
on. I was
replacement.
comparing this particular system, the ERP, to what is trying to replace it or what is going to be competing against, which would be in its early adoption phase. So the AI-based application is going to be in its early adoption phase, but our
Yeah.
ERP is going to be mainstream phase. Yeah,
Mhm.
make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So
Yes,
at
sir.
this point now, yeah. Oh, you said yes?
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So at this point now, the product manager, sorry, should be thinking about differentiating and possibly adding AI features. Or if not, plan for a next generation product. So think about how they can be migrating away from this now since it's run its course and how they can rebuild or create a new product that is able to better compete against the AI related systems that are going to be competing against it. Yeah? Make sense?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Mhm. All right. Cool. Real good. Okay. Wait, is that it? Oh, let me go back to this. So yeah. So in this case, you notice how system B is healthy on all three dimensions, that being the PLC system lifecycle and technology lifecycle. The product in system B is growing. The system itself is new, and the technology is mainstream. So that one of the three of them is the safest integration target. System A is declining in all three areas. And that's a system that you'd want to migrate away from. If you're already integrated into it, you'd want to start your writing your migration plan away from that system. And then system C now is kind of interesting because the system itself is fine. It's been working for a while and it's doing very well, but the technology landscape around it is shifting, right? So that's the one that's going to require the most strategic thinking, whether or not you're going to stay with it or you're going to be thinking about migrating away from it. So it very much depends on the situation that you're in. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. So yeah, that should be everything. Things that we covered. We covered three things. We covered system lifecycle, which is the journey of a specific system from design through to development, deployment, maintenance, and disposal. And the second thing we went through was technology lifecycle, the arc of the entire category of technology, from innovation through to adoption, mainstream use, and then eventually replacement. And the third thing we talked about was product management. That's the strategic role that guides the product through every PLC phase, making decisions that directly affect integrators. The key takeaway is that as system integrators, you need to think about all three levels. Where is the specific system in its life cycle? Where is the underlying technology heading? And is the product manager, and what is the product manager going to be doing next based on the particular life cycle or phase that they're in? If you can answer all three questions, then you can make a smart integration decision, right? So that should take us to the end of the core content for Unit 2. What we're going to be doing on Tuesday, we're going to be looking at something different. It's going to be similar to the activities that we've been doing so far. More scenario-based review activities that cover stuff from Unit 1 and Unit 2. We're going to consider it a practice run since we're going to be moving into the first coursework assessment. I think I'm going to put that on Friday next week. So I've already written the quiz. It's not going to be terribly difficult, but it's going to be something that is somewhat similar to the final exam. Did I ever tell you guys what the format of the final exam is? You guys should have that information. You guys know about the format of the final exam?
No, sir.
It's in the what's it called? The course outline. The course outline is posted on Canvas. You guys knew that, right? So you
Uh,
can look through the course outline at your own leisure. But yeah, at the bottom of the course outline, it tells you what the format of the final exam is. It's going to come in the form of, I think, 25 multiple choice and 3 essay questions. I think it's 5 essay questions, choose 3. Is 3? I think. So I'm not going to give you essays in this first coursework. I'm going to give you some short answer, but it's going to be mostly one in there, multiple choice, and I think 2 short answer questions. Yeah. So you can think of this as a practice run, and then after that, I guess after that we can take a look at what needs to be refined, and if we can move on to the next unit. Sorry, excuse me. So yeah, between now and Tuesday, go through your notes, go through the slides, and I'm not sure if you'd have seen, I posted, you guys see my announcements, right? I posted the slides and I posted the video so far, the recording so far. And since Roman had asked for it from last class, I posted a study guide that you can use to guide the way you, I don't want to say study, but also do your research. It's not to say that the information in the study guide is all that you're going to need. If you read through it, you'll understand some of the stuff, but it's also going to direct you into the stuff that you need to go and do your own research on, whether you're going to get it from the recordings or you're going to look it up yourself. So take a look at the study guide. It should be helpful for you in preparation for your first coursework, which is going to be on Friday. Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. No.
sir,
So for yeah, go ahead.
where is the course outline?
When you go on Canvas, it
Go
is
to
going to be where you
modules.
see my name. You know where my name is, like they tell you about the course and who the lecturer is and all them
Oh,
something there.
yeah, I see it now, sir.
Yeah, it's at the top. That is the course outline. So yeah, for the graded assessment, make sure you know about your types of integrations, your methodologies. Know about your PLC and your system lifecycle, technology lifecycle, and all that stuff. All the stuff that we covered so far. That good?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. I'll see you guys on Tuesday.
Take care, sir.
Mm-hmm. You too.